Welcome aboard, radiant soul. Now take a deep breath with me, because what you are about to hear might change the way you see Aries and Gemini forever. Have you ever felt a connection so fast it almost scared you? A spark so immediate it felt like destiny or disaster? What if I told you that when Aries meets Gemini, it is never neutral? It is either a wildfire or a windstorm that never stops moving. And if you stay with me until the end of this video, you will understand whether this combination is a passionate blessing or a beautiful chaos you must learn how to dance with. Aries and Gemini. Fire and air. Impulse and curiosity. Intensity and movement. At first glance, this connection feels electric. Aries walks into the room with confidence, directness, and a spark in the eyes that says, "I know what I want." Gemini, on the other hand, arrives with a smile full of mystery, words flowing like music, and a mind that moves faster than most people can follow. When they lock eyes, something ignites. Aries loves the chase. Gemini loves the game. Aries wants passion. Gemini wants stimulation. Aries burns. Gemini blows air into the flame. And suddenly, everything feels alive. In the beginning, this is one of the most intoxicating combinations of the zodiac. Conversations go on for hours. Laughter comes easily. Flirting feels natural. The chemistry is undeniable. Aries feels seen. Gemini feels intrigued. But here is where things get interesting. Aries is ruled by action. Gemini is ruled by thought. Aries decides quickly. Gemini questions everything. Aries wants certainty. Gemini wants options. And this is where the tension begins. For the Aries woman, especially, this dynamic can feel thrilling and frustrating at the same time. She loves intensity. She loves bold moves. She loves knowing that she is chosen. But Gemini doesn't always choose in the way Aries expects. Gemini explores. Gemini analyzes. Gemini hesitates. Not because he doesn't feel, but because his mind never stops processing. To the Aries heart, that can feel like inconsistency. And here comes the first powerful truth. This relationship only works if Aries understands that Gemini's movement is not rejection, it is his nature. And Gemini must understand that Aries' intensity is not pressure, it is passion. When balanced, this is a love story that never gets boring. Aries brings courage. Gemini brings creativity. Aries initiates. Gemini adapts. Aries feels deeply. Gemini thinks broadly. Together, they can build something dynamic, playful, exciting. But if they fall into their shadows, the story changes. Aries can become impatient. Gemini can become emotionally distant. Aries can demand answers. Gemini can avoid confrontation. And suddenly the fire that once felt warm becomes too hot. And the wind that once felt refreshing becomes unstable. So, what determines whether this becomes love or chaos? Emotional maturity. If Aries learns to pause before reacting. If Gemini learns to commit before drifting. This connection transforms into something powerful. Because here is what many people do not understand. Gemini is far more emotional than he appears. He simply processes feelings through words and thoughts before expressing them. And Aries is far more sensitive than she admits. Her strength hides a heart that wants loyalty and reassurance. When these two become conscious of their patterns, magic happens. Imagine an Aries who feels secure enough not to chase constantly. Imagine a Gemini who feels safe enough to stay. Now we are talking about a relationship that feels like an adventure. This is not a quiet love. It is not slow. It is not predictable. It is spontaneous trips, midnight conversations, unexpected kisses, passionate arguments followed by deeper understanding. But let me ask you something important. Are you attracted to intensity or stability? Are you drawn to excitement or peace? Because Aries and Gemini together will rarely feel boring. The question is whether both are ready for the responsibility of that spark. If Aries tries to control Gemini, he will escape. If Gemini plays too many games, Aries will walk away. This relationship survives on honesty. Aries must say what she feels without attacking. Gemini must speak his truth without disappearing. And when they master that, they become unstoppable. One of the most beautiful aspects of this pairing is intellectual chemistry. Gemini stimulates Aries' mind. Aries inspires Gemini to act on ideas instead of just talking about them. They push each other to grow. Aries teaches Gemini courage. Gemini teaches Aries perspective. And if they respect those lessons instead of resisting them, this becomes a partnership that evolves constantly. Now let's talk about attraction. The magnetism between them is fast, immediate, magnetic. Aries is drawn to Gemini's wit and unpredictability. Gemini is fascinated by Aries' boldness and direct energy. The physical chemistry, strong. The mental chemistry, even stronger. But again, speed is both their blessing and their challenge. They can fall fast. They can burn fast. They can leave fast. So, the secret is not to slow down who they are, but to become aware of their rhythm. If you are an Aries woman watching this, ask yourself, am I reacting to his movement? Or am I confident enough to let him move without feeling threatened? If you are dealing with a Gemini man, ask, am I giving him space to think, while still holding my standards? And if you are a Gemini man drawn to an Aries woman, understand this. She values action more than promises. Show her consistency. She will give you loyalty. Aries does not fear love. She fears stagnation. Gemini does not fear passion. He fears confinement. When both realize that love does not mean losing freedom, something shifts. This pairing works when love feels like expansion, not restriction. It fails when ego replaces empathy. So is it love or chaos? It depends on awareness. If both stay unconscious, it becomes dramatic. If both grow, it becomes extraordinary. And here is something powerful to remember: fire needs air to survive. Too much air can make it uncontrollable. Too little air can make it die. Balance is everything. When Aries softens her impulse to dominate, when Gemini anchors his impulse to wander, they create a flame that lights the path instead of burning the house. This is not a connection for the faint of heart. It demands emotional intelligence. It demands communication. It demands flexibility. But for those ready, it is unforgettable. Now I want you to reflect. Have you ever experienced this dynamic? Did it feel like fireworks or confusion? Did it challenge you to grow or exhaust you? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might help another radiant woman understand her own journey. And if you are enjoying this deep dive into zodiac connections and feminine empowerment, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Because here, we do not just talk about astrology, we talk about awareness. We talk about emotional strength. We talk about choosing relationships that elevate you. Aries and Gemini can be a fast passion, or a love that never stops moving. The real question is not whether the fire and the wind are compatible. The real question is, Are you ready to handle the flame? If this resonated with you, leave a comment telling me, love or chaos. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next exploration into powerful connections, emotional wisdom, and magnetic feminine presence. Welcome aboard, Radiant Soul.